Brazil's former president Jair Bolsonaro, once hailed by his supporters as the Trump of the tropics, has been sentenced to 27 years in prison for his role in a failed coup attempt aimed at clinging to power after losing the 2022 elections to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Bolsonaro, who from his early days in the army carried the reputation of a man who disobeyed orders, is now facing what prosecutors call his most dangerous act of defiance: a criminal conspiracy that allegedly plotted the assassination of President Lula, Vice President Geraldo Alckmin, and Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. In a dramatic ruling, 4 out of 5 Supreme Court judges voted to convict him, with Justice Moraes himself among the intended targets. The final verdict, 27 years and 3 months behind bars, reflects the severity of what the judges described as an attack on Brazil's democratic order.
Fixo a pena final para o réu Jair Messias Bolsonaro em 27 anos e 3 meses, sendo 24 anos e 9 meses de reclusão e 2 anos e 6 meses de detenção, além de 124 dias multa.
The historic conviction of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro sparked celebrations among his opponents, some of whom crowded a bar in Brazil's capital, singing and setting off flares. His dramatic political rise began after the 2016 impeachment of Dilma Rousseff, when he gained traction railing against corruption, crime, and Brazil's left. Campaigning in 2018, he survived a knife attack that left lasting injuries, fueling a messianic following among supporters who compared him to Donald Trump, especially after the 2024 attempt on Trump's life. As president from 2019 to 2022, Bolsonaro's tenure was marked by early economic growth, but overshadowed by his denial of COVID-19, which he dismissed as a little flu, even as more than 700,000 Brazilians died, making it the second deadliest outbreak in the world after the United States. His downfall began when he lost his re-election bid to Lula. In protest, he fled to Florida just days before Lula's inauguration, skipping the handover of power. A week later, his supporters, echoing the U.S. Capitol riots, stormed Brazil's presidential palace, Congress, and Supreme Court, calling for the army to intervene. Prosecutors allege Bolsonaro incited this violence, leading to his house arrest last month. His conviction now, on 5 coup-related charges, makes any political comeback highly unlikely, especially as he was already barred from public office until 2030. Still, his lawyers say they will appeal. U.S. President Donald Trump said he was surprised that former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro was convicted by a Supreme Court majority of plotting a coup to remain in power after losing the 2022 election.
Well, I watched that trial. I know him pretty well. Foreign leader. I thought he was a good president of Brazil. And it's very surprising that that could happen. That's very much like they tried to do with me, but they didn't get away with it at all. But I can only say this. I knew him as president of Brazil. He was a good man.